Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the show that acts as your shortcut to being instantly well-informed. We take the latest research, the most critical analyses, and all those dense technical specifications, and we distill them down for you.
Exactly. We cut through the noise.
Today, we are strapping in for a really thorough exploration of Canon's full-frame mirrorless strategy. We're focusing on two specific cameras that, well, they couldn't be closer in image quality, but they couldn't be farther apart in price.
That's right. We're talking about the Canon EOS R8 and the Canon EOS R6 Mark II.
And this is such a fascinating comparison.
It really is. It's a deep dive that's defined by a very specific strategic tension. These cameras were launched within a hair of each other, late 2022, early 2023.
Right on top of each other, basically.
And they immediately created a lot of confusion in the market because they shared the exact same 24-megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor. That's the foundation. Canon put their latest and greatest sensor tech into both models.
And that's the rub, isn't it? That's the whole point of this deep dive. You're looking at the R8, which is Canon's, let's call it the accessible entry point into this advanced sensor lineup. It's currently clocking in around, what, $1,099 for the body?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's impressively affordable for a new full frame.
Then you have the R6 Mark II. It's positioned as the professional workhorse, and it's sitting at a staggering $2,499 MSRP.
A huge jump.
That is a cool $1,400 price gap. It just forces anyone looking to step up their game to ask the big question. Since the image quality foundation is identical, what tangible functional differences could possibly account for that massive premium? Okay, let's unpack this and figure out where the real value lies.
And that's the key. That $1,400 isn't buying you sharper pixels or, less noise at ISO 6400.
Because that's the same.
It's identical. What it buys you is capability, reliability, and above all, professional performance under demanding circumstances. The R8 is strategically defined by its limitations.
In a good way, though, or a purposeful way.
A purposeful way, exactly. It's Canon's advanced mirrorless approach. They're making full frame incredibly accessible, really compact, and lightweight. It's perfect for, say, the high-end enthusiast or maybe a content creator who wants that ultimate full-frame look without the professional bulk and cost.
And the R6 Mark II, therefore, is for a shooter with an entirely different set of needs, a different set of non-negotiables.
Exactly. That is the pro mirrorless category. It's a workhorse. It's designed for people whose livelihood depends on the camera. The wedding photographers, the photojournalists, the really serious wildlife and sports shooters.
People who can't afford a failure.
Zero tolerance for single points of failure. But let's just hammer home that core shared DNA first because it's so vital. Both use that same 24-megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor, 36 by 24 millimeters, and they share the identical native ISO range of 100 to 102,400.
Which is an insane range.
It is, and it's expandable up to 204,800. So for pure clinical sensor performance, dynamic range, clarity, low light quality, these cameras are, for all practical purposes, equivalent.
So the differences are entirely housed in everything around the sensor, the physical structure, the processor, the supporting mechanisms.
That's where every dollar of that $1,400 is spent.
That distinction is just crucial. It means your final image quality relies not on the camera body you choose here, but really on the lens you put in front of it. Now, let's move from that shared internal tech to the external differences, the physical experience. This is where that price gap begins to manifest in a way you can, physically feel and see.
And portability is the R8's entire reason for existing. It's a return to the idea that full frame shouldn't necessarily mean heavy or bulky.
Let's talk specifics on size and weight because that difference translates directly into usability over like a full day of shooting. The R8 weighs in at a pretty lean 461 grams.
Which is just over a pound for reference?
Yeah, about 16.26 ounces. It's roughly the weight of a standard can of soda. Its measurements keep it trimmed too. 133 by 86 by 70 millimeters. It's definitely designed to just slip into a smaller bag without a second thought.
The R6 Mark II is substantially more robust. It clocks in at 680 grams.
Wow.
And it measures 138 by 98 by 88 millimeters. So it's noticeably deeper, taller, and it just carries a lot more heft in the hand.
That's a 219-gram weight differential. To put that into perspective for you, that's almost the weight of a standard smartphone. You're basically adding an entire iPhone to your camera.
A really good way to think about it.
So if you are traveling internationally or doing street photography for 8 hours straight or, hiking for 5 miles to get that landscape shot, That 219 grams multiplied by the lens and accessories makes a colossal difference in fatigue and comfort. The R8 is all about discretion and a minimal footprint.
Without a doubt. The R8 is superb for the travel photographer who is conscious of every single ounce, or for the street photographer who wants to be less conspicuous. However, that additional mass on the R6 Mark II is not wasted.
It's not just dead weight.
Not at all. That weight is partially a consequence of its superior build materials, which offer enhanced stability and robustness. This really matters when you attach those large, heavy professional telephoto lenses. The R6 Mark II just balances those lenses better, reducing vibration and providing that substantial professional grip that serious users really demand.
And speaking of materials, this is a core area where Canon saved a lot of money on the R8. We're talking about build quality and the underlying chassis structure, right?
Precisely. This is one of those invisible compromises until, you really need it most. The R6 Mark II uses a very durable magnesium alloy chassis for much of its internal structure and frame.
Okay, and what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, magnesium alloy offers very high strength and stiffness while remaining relatively light for a metal. And crucially, it helps dissipate heat, which is vital for long video sessions or shooting in hot weather.
And the R8, I'm guessing it's not magnesium alloy?
No. The R8 uses a construction that relies far more heavily on polycarbonate, a very, very durable plastic composite. This is the primary reason for both the weight reduction and the cost saving.
So while the R8 does offer general weather sealing against dust and moisture,
Which it does, and it's pretty decent.
the R6 Mark II's magnesium alloy construction provides superior, torsional strength? It's just tougher.
It's tougher. It can handle knocks and bumps better, and the seals are generally more robustly secured against the elements. It's built for a harder life.
So the R6 Mark II isn't just heavier, it's intrinsically tougher. That makes sense for a professional environment. But there's another hidden protection feature the R6 Mark II has that the R8 just skips entirely, the anti-dust shutter.
This is a professional mandate. It's one of those features you don't think you need until you desperately do. The R6 Mark II includes a mechanical shutter mechanism that automatically closes and covers the sensor when the camera is powered off or a lens is removed.
So it's like a little garage door for the sensor.
Perfect analogy. It physically protects the most sensitive, most important part of the camera from airborne particles, dust, and debris.
Why is this so crucial beyond just, preventing a few dust spots on your photos?
Because the true cost of dust isn't just a minor spot in an image. It's time, it's money, and it's risk. If you are frequently changing lenses in the field, say at a dusty outdoor wedding or on a windy beach, and dust gets on that sensor,
Every single photo after that is compromised.
every single one will carry that defect. Removing those spots from a gallery of hundreds, maybe thousands of images is tedious and expensive post-production labor. And professional sensor cleaning services, they cost upwards of $75 to $100 a pop.
So that anti-dust shutter is basically a form of free instant insurance.
Exactly. It's insurance that the R8 user forfeits to save on cost and complexity. It's a very tangible trade-off.
Okay, let's look through the displays now. Both cameras seem to offer excellent articulation, which is, it's vital for creators today.
Yes, on this point, we have total parity with the rear LCD screens. They are identical. 3.00-inch, 1.62 million dot resolution, fully articulating touchscreens.
Which are great, perfect for flexibility, shooting vertically, high up, low down, or flipping it around for a vlog.
They're fantastic. No complaints there on either camera.
But the electronic viewfinder, the EVF, where professional photographers spend the majority of their time looking, that's a dramatically different story.
It is the next big signal that the R6 Mark II is built for precision. It features a superior EVF with 3.69 million dots of resolution.
Okay, 3.69 million. And the R8?
The R8, by contrast, uses a 2.36 million dot EVF. That results in a 56% higher resolution for the R6 Mark II. It's a difference you see immediately.
So when I'm looking through that viewfinder, what does that resolution jump actually feel like? What am I seeing?
It primarily affects critical focus and eye fatigue. The higher pixel density of the R6 Mark II's EVF means there's less noticeable pixelation, you get a smoother, more detailed image, and it creates a view that is significantly closer to the natural experience of looking through an old-school optical viewfinder.
So it feels more real.
It does. And that clarity is essential for things like manual focus confirmation, for absolutely nailing focus when you're shooting fast prime lenses wide open at f1.2, and for accurately assessing minute compositional details.
And I imagine over a long day, that makes a difference.
A huge difference. Over a 10 or 12-hour shooting day, the R6 Mark II's EVF makes a huge difference in reducing eye strain. That's a major quality of life improvement for professionals that you can't really quantify on a spec sheet.
So to sum up this first section, the R8 is lighter and smaller, but it achieves that by using polycarbonate, omitting the anti-dust shutter, and using a lower res EVF. Now let's transition into the core performance metrics, the sheer speed and mechanical capability that truly justify the bulk of that $1,400 premium.
This is where the cameras really diverge.
And we have to start with stabilization. This is perhaps the single most important technical gap between them.
This is the decisive factor that so often separates an enthusiast model from a true workhorse. The R6 Mark II incorporates a sophisticated 8.0 stop sensor shift image stabilization system. We call it IBIS in-body image stabilization.
8 stops. That is a gargantuan amount of stability. Can you maybe elaborate on the tech that makes that possible?
Well, the 8.0 stop rating is often achieved through something Canon calls Coordinated Control IS. This means the stabilization isn't just happening in the camera body with the sensor shifting around.
It's talking to the lens.
It's talking to the lens. It's happening in tandem with the stabilization built into the lens, the optical image stabilization, or OIS. The camera and lens communicate constantly, coordinating their movements to maximize stability. This synergy is what allows for truly extreme handheld shutter speeds.
So if you have a high-end stabilized RF lens, you can hit that maximum 8-stop rating.
Correct. But even with an unstabilized lens, you're still getting significant stabilization just from the body.
And what does 8.0 stops translate to in a real-world shooting scenario, especially in low light?
It fundamentally rewrites the rules for handheld low-light photography. Let's say you are shooting a portrait with an unstabilized 50mm lens. On the R8, with no stabilization, you might need a minimum shutter speed of, say, 1/1100th of a second to guarantee sharpness.
Right, to avoid camera shake.
On the R6 Mark II, with that IBIS activated, 8 stops of stabilization means you can theoretically handhold that same shot at 1/4 of a second or even half a second and still have it be perfectly sharp.
That's incredible. So you don't have to crank up the ISO.
That's a real benefit. You can keep your ISO much lower, maybe ISO 400 instead of ISO 3200, which drastically improves your image quality by minimizing noise and preserving detail.
And the R8 is just stuck. It has to rely entirely on the lens for any stabilization at all.
Completely. The R8 photographer must rely solely on the 37 or so RF lenses that include optical image stabilization. If you opt for an unstabilized prime lens, which includes some of the most optically stunning and fastest lenses in the entire RF lineup, like the RF 50mm f1.2L, you have zero stabilization.
And that's a huge limitation.
It's a severe limitation for any photographer who frequently works handheld in challenging ambient light. The R6 Mark II turns every single RF lens, new or old, into a stabilized lens.
So the stabilization system alone provides just immense value, not just in capturing the shot, but in ensuring the lowest possible noise in the final image. You're maximizing the sensor's potential. Let's move to speed continuous shooting.
Okay. In the electronic shutter department, this is interesting. Both cameras are matched perfectly.
Really?
Yes. A blistering 40.0 frames per second. This shared capability is phenomenal for capturing peak action silently, and both also include that cool time machine pre-shooting buffer feature, which grabs frames even before you fully depress the shutter.
That's amazing. But I'm guessing the mechanical shutter tells a story of budget constraint.
It certainly does. And mechanical shutters are still vital because they eliminate the risk of rolling shutter distortion, that jello effect you can get when very fast, erratic motion is captured with an electronic shutter.
Right, like a golf swing or a helicopter blade.
Exactly. The R6 Mark II delivers 12.0 frames per second mechanically. This is exactly double the R8's 6.0 fps mechanical shooting rate.
Doubling the mechanical speed. That's a significant asset for any serious action photographer who needs both speed and the assurance that distortion will be minimized.
It's a big deal. And the maximum shutter speed available is also halved in the R8.
Okay, what are we talking about there?
The R6 Mark II features a maximum mechanical shutter speed of 18,000th of a second, which again, is double the R8's 14,000th maximum speed.
Now, a lot of people might wonder, why do I need 18,000th of a second? I mean, 14,000th seems plenty fast enough to freeze any movement.
And that's a fair question. But it's not really about freezing movement. It's about controlling light, particularly when you're using fast glass.
Ah, right. Wide open apertures.
Exactly. If you are shooting with a high-end, wide aperture prime lens like an f1.2, in bright sunlight, even at your base ISO of 100, the sheer amount of light hitting the sensor is overwhelming.
You'll blow out your highlights.
Instantly. To shoot wide open, which is the whole reason you bought that expensive lens for that shallow depth of field, that bokeh, you need an incredibly fast shutter speed to prevent overexposure. The R6 Mark II allows you to do this natively.
And with ER8?
Without 18,000th, the R8 user would be forced to carry, affix, and constantly manage neutral density filters, ND filters, to achieve the same effect. It's an extra step, an extra piece of gear.
So the R6 Mark II isn't just faster, it provides superior convenience. It saves you time and money by eliminating the need for extra filtration in those bright light scenarios.
It buys you flexibility and convenience. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's discuss the brain of the operation, the autofocus system. They share the same brilliant AI tracking, I understand, but the coverage is wildly different.
They do share the cutting-edge intelligence, absolutely. The ability to track faces, eyes, even through partial obstruction vehicles, animals, all of it is all running on Canon's latest generation AI algorithms.
But the operational coverage and precision, that's where they differ.
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is it's the sheer architecture of the focus points. The R6 Mark II has an almost unbelievable 4,897 selectable focus points.
4,000.
4,897 points, covering virtually the entire frame, edge to edge.
And the R8 is restricted to just 1,053 points. That's more than a fourfold difference in coverage density.
A colossal jump. Now, does the average enthusiast shooter actually manually select from 4,897 points? Probably not. But that's not the point. The capability is critical for the camera's internal processing.
So more points means the camera has more data to work with.
Precisely. More focus points provide denser coverage, particularly towards the edges and corners of the frame. And this density is essential for the highly refined subject tracking algorithms to work reliably.
So it helps the camera maintain lock even if your subject moves into the extreme edges of the composition, or maybe it temporarily changes direction?
Exactly that. For fast or erratic movements, think of a bird banking in flight, or a hockey player weaving through traffic. That point density ensures the camera doesn't lose the subject when the advanced tracking algorithm attempts a micro-adjustment. The R6 Mark II's AF system is simply far more reliable in those high-stakes, fast-moving, or complex compositional situations.
Okay, we've established that the R6 Mark II is fundamentally superior for action photography. Stabilization, speed, AF coverage, it wins on all counts. Now let's shift to the domain of professional reliability, the features that define a tool for paid client work where failure is truly not an option.
Reliability is measured by two main things: power endurance and data redundancy.
Let's start with power.
Starting with power, this is perhaps the most obvious practical constraint of the R8. The R6 Mark II uses the larger high-capacity LPE6NH battery. It's a standard for Canon's Pro bodies, and it achieves a respectable 580 shots per charge, according to the CPA standard.
And the R8 uses the much smaller LPE17 battery, managing only 290 shots per charge.
A staggering reduction.
Yeah.
Exactly half the R6 Mark II's endurance. It's a huge real-world difference.
If you're a wedding photographer covering a 12-hour day or a travel journalist out in the field,
the R8 requires constant maintenance. You would need 4, maybe 5 batteries for the R8 just to match the power duration you'd get from 2 batteries on the R6 Mark II.
that battery management headache isn't just inconvenient, it's a risk, isn't it?
It creates a risk of missing crucial shots. That downtime required for frequent battery changes is a liability. Imagine stumbling with a replacement battery during the cutting of the cake or the first kiss. It's an unacceptable operational risk for a professional.
And while both cameras support USB charging,
Which is great for topping up during a break with a power bank, it doesn't solve the core issue of having to physically swap out the pack in the middle of an event.
okay. The second, and perhaps most critical professional feature, is storage redundancy. Data loss can end a professional's career.
This is completely non-negotiable for paid client work. The R6 Mark II include dual card slots. This means you can write simultaneous backup copies to both cards as you shoot,
So if one memory card fails,
which, while rare, absolutely does happen. It could be a manufacturing defect, heat, corruption, whatever. If that card fails, you still have the complete, untouched set of images on the second card. You haven't lost a thing.
and the R8 offers only a single card slot.
A single point of failure. I remember a colleague who was shooting a critical corporate event a few years back. His single card failed instantly due to a write error during the CEO's keynote speech.
Oh, nightmare fuel.
It's a total nightmare. If he hadn't had a second camera with dual slots running simultaneously, he would have had 0 deliverables for a very high-paying client. For professionals, that single card slot on the R8 often acts as an automatic filter. It immediately disqualifies the camera from any mission-critical contractual work.
You just can't take that risk with someone's memories or a company's event.
You can't.
Okay, let's move to video differentiation. Both are exceptional content machines. They share 4K UHD, 180 frames per second for slow motion, unlimited recording time, and high-quality audio ports. So where does the R6 Mark II take the leap into cinematography?
The key differentiator is what I call the raw factor. The R6 Mark II adds raw video recording capability, which the R8 does not support. The R8 sticks to compressed 4K footage only.
Okay, for our listeners who aren't deep into video production, why is raw video so crucial for high-end professional work? What does that get you?
Raw footage is essentially the uncompressed data straight from the sensor. It retains the maximum amount of color information. We're talking 10-bit or even 12-bit color depth, and the full dynamic range captured by the sensor.
And this matters in post-production.
It's vital in post-production. It gives professional colorists superior latitude to adjust exposure, lift shadows, tame highlights, and match colors perfectly between different shots without the image quality falling apart or exhibiting ugly color banding, which is really common with heavily compressed footage.
That sounds fantastic, but to use raw video on the R6 Mark II, doesn't it require additional bulky gear? You can't just record it to the SD card, can you?
You're absolutely right, and this is another marker of its professional intent. To utilize the R6 Mark II's raw video output, you have to bypass the internal recording system and use an external recorder, like an Atomos Ninja V Plus Matter.
Okay, so you're plugging a whole other monitor and recorder into the camera.
You are. It connects via the camera's HDMI port and captures the footage in formats like ProRes RAW or Canon Cinema Raw Light.
This setup adds significant cost, weight, and complexity. It confirms that the R6 Mark II is designed for high production value sets, not just casual run-and-gun shooting.
It's another piece of the puzzle that explains that $1,400 price gap.
Exactly.
Before we move on, I want to reiterate that despite these professional differences, Canon has been pretty generous with shared advanced features on both.
They truly have. Both models offer advanced tools like focus bracketing and even in-camera focus stacking, which are really powerful for maximizing depth of field in landscape or macro photography.
That's a great feature to have on the cheaper body.
It is, and they both feature anti-flicker technology, which is crucial for shooting under LED or fluorescent lights to avoid banded images, and both can function as high-quality UVC UAC webcams right out of the box. So the R8 is certainly an advanced camera, it just lacks that maximum operational capability and the required professional redundancies. That wraps up the specs beautifully. Now let's connect this analysis back to the listener. So what does this all mean for the way you actually shoot? We need to match the camera's specific compromises or strengths to the demands of specific photographic genres.
This is where it all comes together. We can now define the clear winners and losers based on the shooting mission.
Let's begin with the toughest test, the action photographer. We're talking sports, wildlife, anything with demanding high-speed movement.
The R6 Mark II is the unequivocal choice here. There's really no debate. You need the superior reliability provided by those 4,897 focus points to maintain lock on erratic subjects moving across the entire frame.
The 12 frames per second mechanical speed is critical too.
It is, for capturing that peak action without rolling shutter distortion. Furthermore, for wildlife photographers who are often using heavy telephoto lenses handheld, that 8-stop IBIS is just vital for stable framing and shot acquisition, especially when the light drops at dawn or dusk.
And the R8 just can't keep up.
Its 6 CPS mechanical speed and significantly fewer AF points make it a much higher risk proposition in these demanding, non-repeatable situations.
Next up, the wedding and event professional, whose work is defined by high pressure and non-negotiable reliability.
The R6 Mark II is essential. This is a liability conversation, not a feature conversation. The dual card slots are mandated by most professional insurance policies and client contracts.
You simply can't afford that single point of failure.
You can't. Likewise, the 580-shot battery life minimizes disruption and risk. The R8, with its single slot and the need for frequent battery swaps, simply does not meet the standard professional requirement for event documentation. It's a non-starter for most pros.
Okay, now let's switch dramatically. The travel and street photographer.
This is the R8's domain. This is where it shines. Here, portability is the ultimate premium. That 219-gram weight saving and the smaller profile make it drastically less noticeable and far more comfortable for all-day carrying.
Street photographers value discretion, right? A smaller camera draws less attention.
It does. And while the R6 Mark II's IBIS is wonderful, street shooting often uses sufficiently fast shutter speeds anyway, like 1125s or faster, to freeze motion. That kind of reduces the value of the IBIS compared to the massive value of the weight saving.
Okay, what about the serious landscape photographer? This one seems tricky.
This is where the choice is nuanced.
Right.
Both cameras offer identical image quality for maximizing detail capture. The R8 is clearly superior for long hikes to remote locations because of that weight saving.
But
But landscape work often involves harsh outdoor conditions: dust, wind, moisture. The R6 Mark II's magnesium alloy body, its superior weather sealing, the dual card redundancy for protecting images from a multi-day trip,
and the anti-dust shutter.
and most importantly, that anti-dust shutter mechanism for frequent lens changes in dusty environments make it the safer, more reliable tool for extreme conditions. So it's a trade-off between weight and durability.
Finally, the vlogger and content creator who needs seamless video capability.
Another interesting one. The R8's lightweight strongly appeals for handheld vlogging. It reduces arm fatigue when you're using a small rig.
But the R6 Mark II's IBIS.
The 8-stop IBIS provides dramatically smoother handheld video. It can often eliminate the need for a separate bulky gimbal, which saves complexity and setup time.
And for higher-end productions.
If the creator is aiming for broadcast or commercial production quality, the R6 Mark II's raw video output is critical for getting that maximum post-production flexibility. So the choice is really smoothness and color depth with the R6 Mark II versus maximum portability with the R8.
That provides an excellent use case framework. Let's move to the long-term view now. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how does that initial $1,400 savings on the R8 affect my strategy for building a valuable RF lens collection, which is arguably the true long-term investment?
That's a fantastic question. The initial cost of the body absolutely dictates your long-term lens strategy. Both cameras benefit from Canon's rich and still growing RF lens ecosystem.
However,
There's a big however. The R6 Mark II user enjoys absolute freedom when purchasing glass. Their investment in any RF lens, even a beautiful but unstabilized lens, is instantly maximized by that 8-stop IBIS in the body.
so if I buy that amazing unstabilized RF 50mm f1.2, which is optically stunning but costs a fortune, the R6 Mark II maximizes my investment in it.
Precisely. You prioritize the optical quality and the wide aperture, knowing that the camera body is handling all the stabilization for you. Now compare that to the R8 user.
Yeah, I'd be more careful.
The R8 owner, particularly if they shoot handheld indoors or in low light, must strategically prioritize the 37 or so stabilized RF lenses. For example, the RF 50mm f1.8 STM is cheap and a great lens, but it's unstabilized. If they need stabilization for indoor shots, they might have to purchase the RF 35mm f1.8 IS SPM, which is stabilized, but it might not be the focal length they wanted, and it's slightly more expensive.
So saving $1,400 on the body might ironically force me into a more expensive or at least a more limited lens system over time, particularly as I love those fast, unstabilized primes.
That's the critical trade-off that often goes unsaid. The IBIS of the R6 Mark II provides true long-term freedom in lens selection. Now, if we look at resale value,
That's a good point.
professional bodies like the R6 Mark II, often due to their superior build quality and their pro feature set, typically retain a significantly higher percentage of their initial value than enthusiast models like the R8. This better retention partially offsets that steep initial cost, making the R6 Mark II a slightly better financial bet over a 3 to 5 year ownership period.
But on the other hand, the R8 is the lower capital risk option to start with.
It is, which appeals to a different kind of buyer. Because the initial cost is so much lower, photographers have less capital tied up in the camera body itself. They may prefer replacing the R8 every 2 or 3 years to ensure they're constantly running the absolute latest autofocus algorithms and processing speeds.
Which can be a valid strategy for staying current without sinking $2,500 into one chassis.
It's a different way of thinking about investment.
Let's discuss the hidden costs, too, the total cost of ownership.
Right. The R6 Mark II's higher cost upfront is compounded by the need to purchase 2 high-speed memory cards to fully utilize the redundancy features, and those can be expensive.
But the R8 user faces the hidden cost of powering the device.
Exactly. To match the 580 shots of endurance of the R6 Mark II, the R8 user must purchase and carry 2 or 3 extra batteries. While the batteries themselves are cheaper, managing that many separate power packs adds complexity and clutter to your bag.
So at the end of the day,
The R8 offers a lower total ownership cost for the hobbyist, for sure. But the R6 Mark II is justified as a necessary operational and revenue-generating business investment for professionals.
This brings us back to what might be the smartest entry strategy for someone new to Canon full frame who wants the quality but is tight on budget.
The sources and, frankly, common sense strongly suggest focusing the bulk of your initial budget on the glass, the lenses.
So start with the accessible R8 body.
Start there. Immediately begin building your valuable RF lens collection, prioritizing high-quality glass. You acknowledge the R8's limitations, the single slot, the smaller battery, but you see them as temporary compromises.
And then what?
Then, 2 or 3 years down the line, when your budget is replenished or your shooting demands become professional, you upgrade the camera body to whatever the R6 Mark II successor is at that time. You get to keep all of your valuable, long-lasting RF lenses.
It's the most financially intelligent way to get immediate access to that superb image quality while future-proofing your system with the best possible optics.
The glass lasts forever. The body is a consumable.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, we've reached the final decision matrix. We're summarizing the 2 clear paths Canon has laid out for you.
The path of the R8 prioritizes budget, portability, and maximum lens investment potential today.
So choose the R8 if you primarily value the $1,400 savings. If maximum portability at 461 grams is your primary goal. If you shoot mostly in good light and avoid extreme low light handheld situations, or if you can accept the single card slot and the 290-shot battery life without professional contractual issues, this is your accessible, modern, full-frame excellence.
And the R6 Mark II path prioritizes capability, performance, and operational reliability above all else. You must choose the R6 Mark II if you require professional reliability. That means dual card slots and the 580-shot battery life.
Or if you shoot demanding action like sports or wildlife.
Right. Needing the 4,897 AF points, the 12-piece mechanical speed, or the 18,000 shutter. Or if you need that built-in 8-stop IBIS for low-light handheld work with any lens, or if your projects demand raw video capability for high-end post-production.
The bottom line, then, is that the decision rests entirely on functionality and reliability, not the image output.
Precisely. Yeah. Both cameras deliver identical, fantastic 24-megapixel full-frame image quality. The choice is purely about what level of operational certainty and maximum capability you require versus how much you value portability and cost savings. You have to be brutally honest about your shooting demands before you choose.
That is the perfect distinction. And it leaves us with our final thought for you to consider. If the R8 gives you a truly viable full-frame body for $1,400 less, how fundamentally does that savings change the quality and the breadth of the lens system you can afford to build today, right now, as your long-term investment? That's the question worth mulling over.